restrictions, people are certainly excited to be back outside.
Now, tens of thousands are expected to line the parade route, and although many workers have still not returned to their jobs, we are expecting a sizable crowd to greet them, both on the street and in the buildings. And while the city is reopening and people are reemerging, it is important to note the virus is still out there. Variants pose a dangerous risk, and the city's health officials say the key to completely defeating COVID is through vaccines. Let's take a look at the current vaccination rates by borough. Manhattan and Queens have the highest number of adults with at least one dose, followed by Staten Island, Brooklyn, and the Bronx.
And speaking of vaccines, the first person to get the vaccination in the United States was a nurse in Queens. Sandra Lindsay was named the Grand Marshal of this parade, and I spoke with her about that honor and her message to New Yorkers. You're going to hear more of that interview in just a few minutes.
Yes, Sandra Lindsay's story, just one of many we'll share as the floats and marchers head north up the Canyon of Heroes. We'll have several reporters positioned along the route. We begin our coverage with Derek Walter live at the starting point. Derek.
David Sade, good morning to you. A very exciting and a very hot morning here in Lower Manhattan. I'll show you what's going on right now here at Battery Park as you hear that police band behind me. This actually just got underway. This parade is starting right now, and so we have police officers who are getting this underway. And as you can see right now, starting this parade is the NYPD band, and they are kicking things off here at Battery Park. So again, this starts here at Battery Park and then heads north up Broadway, up the Canyon of Heroes. A short parade, but certainly it's going to be a hot and humid one, and it's going to end this morning at City Hall. Obviously, we did have that large celebration at the end of this that was planned, but because it is so hot today, already in the 90s, they have now canceled that. So it looks like this is actually getting started on time. If you look down the street here, you can see that we have several floats. Looking this way, you can see we have several floats. Hospital workers now making their way with their float. I can tell you that there are 14 different floats and specialty vehicles that are going to be involved in this parade today, as well as 10 different bands, 10 different marching bands. So we have the situation here at Battery Park. We've got the floats lined up on one end, and then on what they call Little West Street, which is the pedestrian path next to West Street, we've got the marching bands that are set up and ready to go. So a lot going on, a hot morning, and this is now just getting underway right now. I can tell you that there are some groups that actually chose not to participate in this. I know that some EMTs and paramedics basically concerned that they didn't have a contract for 3 years, and also the fact that they didn't get hazard pay. They've decided to boycott this. We also learned the FDNY, one of their unions is actually saying that they're not going to be participating as well. So there is some controversy with some city employees who have some disagreements with the mayor and the mayor's office. But this is still a very large parade, very well attended. We know that they're expecting about 2,500 people to be participating in this today. As you saw, we had police, we've got hospital workers, healthcare workers, but also so many other people who were instrumental in getting New York through the last 15 or 16 months through this pandemic. And those include delivery workers as well, food service workers, journalists, teachers, childcare workers. There's so much going on. Right now, you're seeing another one of the marching bands that is getting ready to start marching in this parade. Again, this starts here at Battery Park and heads about a mile up to City Hall. So certainly not a long walk at all, but it's just so hot here this morning that they are basically being cautious and canceling that ceremony at the end. So that is what's going on here at the start of the parade. A very exciting morning here at Battery Park. Let's send it back to you guys in the studio.
Derek, thank you. We're watching some of the live pictures come in. I just saw Mayor de Blasio there on one of the floats, as well as the Grand Marshal, Sandra Lindsay. So it's such an exciting day for her. Are you anywhere near her? Have you had a chance to speak with her? And what are people saying around you?
You know, I was actually in the room back in December when that first vaccination took place. So that was a really exciting moment. I haven't seen her this morning, but that is my understanding. She's the Grand Marshal. She's with Mayor de Blasio. They're in this parade this morning. And so certainly an amazing message for her to send, to be the first person in the United States to get the vaccine. Also, the fact that she's a nurse, sending that message that, she works in healthcare. She knows what's going on, and she trusts this vaccine. So I think that was really instrumental in getting so many other people to trust this vaccine and choose to get vaccinated. Certainly, we have a long way to go, but obviously a couple of weeks ago, New York celebrating the fact that we have 70% of adults who are now vaccinated. And certainly the fact that she was the first one to do it had a lot to do with that. A lot of excitement this morning. I just walked over to the park across the street. That's where a lot of the other groups that are not on the floats and not on the in a marching band, that's where they are getting ready to join this parade later this morning. And so I did speak to some of them, very excited, a lot going on. And thankfully, there's some shade in that park. So some of them are able to keep cool over there. But hopefully this is, obviously we see it is on time because it is a hot morning out here. Back to you guys.
Yeah, people are going to need a lot of shades. And I'm noticing some people have hats on, which is a really good idea.
It really is.
Yeah, because
it's going to be tough out there. In fact, I know the city's setting up water stations and places to get a break. All right, Derek, thanks a lot. Let's take you a little farther north. Anthony Johnson is located right now at Broadway and Fulton. And what's the scene like there, Anthony?
Hey, people are out here. They're waiting to see the parade as it starts to make its way up Broadway. We're out here where a number of people have gathered out here on the street. Look, this group right here, they got their thank you signs supporting all of the healthcare workers, first responders that worked during the pandemic. They're out here to celebrate. They got their cowbells. They plan to make a whole lot of noise out here. The one thing that's very interesting when you're standing on this side of the street, the shady side, at this point in time, yes, it's shady. It's nice and comfortable for a hot day. It's still pretty comfortable over here in the shade. But anybody that's in that sun, Derek was talking about extreme heat, be very, very careful. You're a healthcare worker at Elmhurst Hospital. You started giving out some of the COVID shots, you were telling me. How does it feel to be out here today to salute folks like yourself?
It feels great because we went through over 50,000 shots at Elmhurst Hospital already, just giving them out from when we started. And we're coming a long way from being the epicenter of the epicenter.
Absolutely. And of course, you're not in the parade, but you're here for the parade. And we salute somebody like yourself who did all that hard work. I know it was pretty taxing, though, during those years.
Yes, it was.
That year, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
it was
pretty scary, right?
Very scary. And then trying to get everyone to get vaccinated is a big push.
Well, thank you very much. You did a great job. We appreciate everything that you folks did. We're going to walk you up the line so you can see the folks that are out here, people waving the flags, of course, all the folks out here having a good time, waiting for the healthcare workers and the first responders as they come by. Little kids, you can see it's not awfully crowded out here, but there are folks out here to salute all of these people. This is the area that they'll make the turn right above us, about another 200 yards from where we are. They'll make that turn into City Hall, and of course, the events are happening this afternoon. There is a marching band up there practicing near City Hall right now. We can hear them from where we are. You can see police and security are out here on Broadway. We are waiting for the parade to head up in this direction. Let's just show you one side of the street, a little thicker crowd on that side. We were telling you, if you're in the shade, the crowd is a little bit thicker. On the sunnier side of the street, it's a more sparse crowd at this point in time, but there's still plenty of excitement out here as people gather for this big parade, something that a lot of people have been waiting for. Folks have been waiting a long time to come back outside, so you can see they are outside. Hey, folks, how are you over there? Look at them. They're ready to celebrate, ready to go ahead and say thank you to all the healthcare workers, first responders. And you know what? I want to talk to you about the floats that they're going to be on, because there are 14 floats. They made them in Clifton, New Jersey. They were working on them until late last night. And those are the 14 floats that'll be used in today's parade. Putting the final touches on one of the 14 floats that will be featured in the Canyon of Heroes during the salute to healthcare workers and first responders.
And we're celebrating those people who helped us overcome this, the people who put their lives on the line. They're genuinely real heroes.
The folks at Bond Parade Floats and Designs have long been a part of the Canyon of Heroes salutes. The last big one they worked on was in 2019, which honored the U.S. women's soccer champions. This time, we hailed those who took us through more than a year of loss, uncertainty, and most of all, kept us alive when so much was at stake.
It's almost a victory parade of sorts for the entire country, not just New York, but the entire country.
There is a genuine feeling of pride in the workshop. They worked all night to make sure today's floats are picture perfect for this tribute to the men and women who will always have a special place in our collective hearts.
These are actual heroes. They save lives, they risk theirs. It's fantastic. It's special. It's huge to be a part of this. It really is.
All right. Yes, indeed. And they are a part of it. And a lot of those healthcare workers, first responders, now getting on those floats as they start to make their way up Broadway. You can see the crowd. This is what I call the shadier side of the street here at Fulton and Broadway. All the folks out here gathered. You see a lot of American flags. And you can see people all the way down the line, all the way down Broadway. Plenty of excitement out here this morning to salute these heroes. It is going to be a warm day to be out here, folks. So do drink a lot of water if you're out here at the parade. And, they're telling us to make sure that you drink a lot of water and hydrate, because once they get up here, you start to see more sunlight. That's where it's really going to be hot out here this afternoon. So do be careful, especially if you're out here on the parade route, or if you're planning to come out here. There is room for people to still come out here and join this big gathering taking place out here on Broadway this morning. That's the way it is right now. We're standing at the corner of Fulton and Broadway, waiting for the parade to get to this location and ultimately make it up to City Hall. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Anthony, thanks a lot. You heard Anthony talking about the floats, and while it's not a competition, possibly one of the coolest ones belongs to the MTA. Workers will be riding along the Canyon of Heroes on a subway car from the MTA Transit Museum.
It's the oldest car in our collection. It's a 1903, 1904 wooden body train car that was ordered by the Brooklyn Union, which was an elevated train company, obviously right here in Brooklyn. And it was in service for 66 years. That car survived both world wars. It was in service during the first pandemic in the early 1900s, and so it just feels really appropriate and fitting to kind of bring out the big gun for our colleagues that really did keep the city moving.
Really cool history there. And Eyewitness News reporter Nina Pineda got the lucky assignment to be riding on that subway car, which, Nina, I was told the last time it rode that car was actually in service was in 1969. So here it's resurrected again, and you're riding on it.
You know what, Sade? And it's nice and cool. We're here on the back of this subway car. And like you said, this 1969 was in the World's Fair. It was actually in the first World's Fair, too. So a lot of history on board, all to honor these essential workers. And joining me to tell some of their stories is we've got Aubrey, and we have Julio, and we have Kai. They are from hydraulics and operations and engineering from Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx. What is it like, Aubrey, to be riding down the Canyon of Heroes today?
We are honored. All transit employees are honored to be here today and be thankful.
Okay. And Julio, you said you didn't miss a day. You had to keep these subway cars in shape.
Yes, we had to keep the New York going. We're getting the love back now. This is fantastic. Thank you, New York. We were there because New York had to keep on going.
That's great. Julio is an inspector, so he was in charge of making sure that the cars in the Bronx are running. We have a Chairman, Pat Voigt. Chairman, we are live on Channel 7. You just thanked Senator Schumer as he walked by for the help that he gave the MTA. A challenging year for you.
Yeah, Senator Schumer came through big for New York and big for the MTA. He got us $6.5 billion in the last round of funding that's going to keep the MTA going and keeping our essential workers doing the heroic work that they did every day and night during the pandemic.
And behind you are several dozen of the MTA employees from all different departments. We met them from the chaplain's office, from work life, from subway operators to the bus drivers. What is this like for them to be had to go to work and had to keep New York moving and then to be honored in this way?
Well, look, our MTA workers are essential workers. They're first responders. They were heroes, moving heroes every day during the pandemic. And it's completely appropriate that they are honored by a ticker tape parade in the Canyon of Heroes, because every last one of them is a hero.
And we see behind you, if you can just show us, Chairman, these are actual straps. Go through there and show us the straps. This is where strap hanger comes from.
This is where the phrase strap hanger came from. This car was built in 1904. That's a leather strap. Passengers on the Lexington Avenue line, and we're 100 feet away from the Bowling Green station, traveled on this car 100 years ago. They traveled on this car in the pandemic about a century ago, and every day and night for over 50 years. This car went into service in 1904, and that's a strap, and our customers used to hang on to it.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Chairman Foy. We'll catch up with you later. This is so much fun, and take a look at this, Sade and Dave. It's the original bell. We're going to ring it as we get going on the parade route.
How cool is that, Nina? That is a great assignment.
Right, all aboard! All aboard with the MTA workers! Go in there, Glenn. All aboard with the MTA workers! What's our chant? We get you where you're going, MTA! MTA! We're about to start going from Bowling Green. I'll send it back to you, and we'll catch up with you guys in a little bit.
Okay.
Good job.
Look at Nina working the crowd.
I know. She definitely knows how to do that. And car number 1273, a lot of rich history there. Thanks,
Right.
Nina.
And they're all heading to Mike Marza right now. He's at City Hall. Mike, what's the situation there right now?
David and Sade, I feel like I'm standing on the platform waiting for them to arrive. They're not here yet, but I can tell you there's a marching band in front of City Hall trying to keep a small crowd occupied. There aren't a ton of people just yet here at Murray and Broadway. I can tell you the heat is the headline here as well. Of course, they've been up and down the route, the FDNY passing out water to people, encouraging people to stay hydrated. In fact, the heat is what really pared down what was to be a larger ceremony here at City Hall at the conclusion of this parade. So it's going to be smaller, but there is a stage setup. Photojournalist Brian White behind the camera also in these elements. But I could show you down Broadway as we wait for the parade to get here and the marching band continues. As Derek was mentioning earlier, we're talking about 14 floats representing some 260 organizations, essential workers that powered the city through this pandemic. And I got to tell you, as somebody who was reporting on the streets every day of the pandemic, it is such a different scene, of course, than what it was a year and a half ago at the height of the pandemic. And these streets were empty and you couldn't hear anything but sirens. And then 7 o'clock came and you could hear the applause and the claps for these workers who are now being honored here through the Canyon of Heroes today. It is an incredible pivot. However, as we know, this pandemic is not over, and some people have been reminding us of that. As you see some gathered here at the corner waiting for the conclusion of the parade, one person said their hope today is not just to applaud the first responders and the essential workers, but to also convince their family members and friends who have not been vaccinated to get vaccinated. That is why we are to this point, but still more work to be done. I mentioned not everybody is excited about this parade. Inherently, it is a day of celebration and an honor for these essential workers, but unions have asked their members to boycott. Some of the EMT, paramedics, and the firefighters union telling their members it is not good to come out here and celebrate what they say is not an end to this pandemic. There are still concerns of the Delta variant spreading, as well as the criticism that the mayor is facing for spending so many resources and money on a day of celebration. But as we also think about all the essential workers that deserve all this praise, I was talking to a nurse earlier, one of the people inside the ER at the height of this thing in April of 2020, and she said that she never thought that we would be to this point, having a ticker tape parade for their work as they help this battle through. And she also said what she hopes is that we remember the more than 30,000 lives lost here in New York City and the staggering 600,000 lives lost across the country. Let's bring in here as the music continues and the anticipation builds. I see some lights all the way down Broadway as the parade continues to march down the Canyon of Heroes. You know, the last time we had a parade like this was 2 years ago, and it seems like a lifetime ago. We were honoring the Women's World Cup champions, and now we are honoring the first responders and essential workers in a global pandemic that very much does continue. So we'll wait here. We expect there to be a few comments from Mayor de Blasio once he reaches this stage, which is on the other side of this newsstand. And then we expect, again, a pared down version of what would have been a big ceremony here, and that is because of the heat. We're in the shade, but it feels like a sauna. And a lot of people are just saying, you know what, they still have to go through with today, but they want the parade to kind of speed up a little bit. We expect the ceremony here to be, again, shorter, but we'll be ready for it once it arrives. David and Sade.
Okay, and we'll be sure to check back in with you so much. Now let's go to Stacey Sager, who is also along the parade route. And Stacey, we're seeing a look at live pictures right now, and we're seeing the Grand Marshal, Sandra Lindsay, and actually spoke to her within the hour, and she just said how excited she was to be here today and just so honored to be the Grand Marshal.
So honored. Hey, Sandra! How you doing? How you doing? Are you feeling the joy today? You're feeling all the joy? Very exciting moment here as she passes us by. Lots of people from Northwell who came out to cheer her on in the heat. Very exciting moment. I mean, we all remember when she was, of course, the first American to get vaccinated, and so brave and so calm and so confident. And she really inspired so many others to go out and do the same, which is such an important thing. And she made such a huge difference. So that honor is well deserved. And here we can start to see some of the others marching here. We hear the bands playing, and we've seen over here, we see a little bit of the ticker tape flying around, the confetti flying around. We do have some people here we want to talk to who came out to pay their respects to those they've lost. We have someone here from Bushwick, Brooklyn. You got a moment, Yvonne? Okay, I know you all feel very strongly about those you've lost and those who you care so deeply about. And I'm sure you know people as well. You work at ACS and you deal with the children and the effect the pandemic had on our children. And what stands out most to you about that?
I would say more so just our resiliency and all of it, how we're able to still be here year round and make sure that the work continues, because it's important. Even for all our colleagues that we've lost, we got to be here for them too.
What was the toughest moment you had in dealing with children this year?
I would say just making sure that the work for them didn't stop. The work for them is really important. So we just got to make sure that's our main priority.
It's so critical. It's so critical. And as you saw Sandra Lindsay go by, is she an inspiration to you?
Yes.
What inspired you most about her?
Sure, getting vaccinated was important. So just make sure you go out and get vaccinated.
And here we have the marching band, the police band. We want to take a look at that coming through. And we're starting to really see that confetti. A lot of people turning out now. Anyone else want to tell us why they're here today? Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. What's your name, honey?
I'm Betsy Sedaris.
Okay.
My husband was an essential worker who was working 18-hour days in order to get ventilators and everything to the hospitals and helping those in need.
So he was in the medical supply end of it.
DCAS. He worked for DCAS.
Okay. And what does it mean for you to be here today, supporting his efforts?
It's great to be here. Very proud.
An emotional time. I'm sure you worried very much about it.
We all did. As a family, we worked together and made it happen. So, thank you.
Thank you so much for taking time out. A lot of people out here today. We're just trying to stay with the flow of the parade, but it is a very special time out here. And here's a float, the hospital workers float. That's the second float after Sandra Lindsay. So many of the nurses, we were talking to the family of a nurse from White Plains. Her two daughters are here. They're cheering her on. They're so proud of her. They feel that as a family, they really lived this. They live this, and they are deeply, deeply proud today of what is happening. A lot of excitement here in the Canyon of Heroes. We're going to be seeing much more of this, and we're going to be bringing you the families that are so deeply affected by all of this. 14 floats here today, thousands of people expected. Obviously, the heat is a concern, but we're in the shade. We're in the shade, so it's good. And we're going to keep you posted on how people are doing and how they're feeling and how proud they are, because these are the people that got up, that inspired all of us, that went to work every day and continue to help others. We're live in the Canyon of Heroes. I'm Stacey Sager, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Stacey, and we are so grateful for everything they have done for us. You just saw Nurse Sandra Lindsay making her way along the parade route. There she is again, clapping. You know, she was supposed to speak at the City Hall ceremony before it was canceled due to the heat, but she still holds the honor of being the Grand Marshal.
Yes, she does. Nurse Lindsay was the first American to receive the COVID-19 vaccination after it was authorized by the FDA. And last week, I got a chance to speak to her about her message to New Yorkers and that historic shot.
I did not know that I was going to be the first one. I knew that once I heard that the vaccine was in development, I was following the experts. I read every credible piece of information that I could on the development of the vaccine, and I knew that I wanted to take it because that's what we needed to get us out of the crisis that we were in. So when I got the opportunities to even get a vaccine, I was so elated. And I showed up an hour earlier than